morbid facts that will give you nightmares. When a prisoner is electrocuted in an electric chair, they can feel absolutely everything. They are fully aware that their body is being fried in real time, and one prisoner that survived said he actually smelled and tasted like cold peanut butter. Human corpses decompose 4 times faster in water than underground, and 8 times faster if left in the open air. It takes around 359 humans to have enough iron to forge a sword from their blood. Just about 3,000 people go missing every single year in the US. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977 in France. That was exactly the same year that the first Star Wars movie came out.
These are some of the most terrifying illnesses that you could get tomorrow. And I found all these on Reddit. Number 1, Capgras syndrome. Now I hear you. What is Capgras syndrome? Well, Capgras syndrome is one of the most terrifying diseases that anybody can get. It's a specific type of condition that affects your brain that causes you to start to believe some wild things. Capgras syndrome causes people to remember faces and understand who people are, but have the irrational belief that they've been replaced by an imposter. I know it sounds insane, but literally, that's what it is. Imagine seeing your own mom, your kids, your brothers, sisters, and you know that that's who they're supposed to be, but something in your mind isn't clicking, causing you to think that they've been replaced by an imposter, and that's not really your loved one. Number 2, diphtheria. This one is like my biggest fear. If you don't know what diphtheria is, I'm sorry for ruining your day in advance, and I hope you never get this. Diphtheria is basically the inflammation of the mucous membranes within your throat, and they get so inflamed that over time you will simply be unable to breathe. Talking about it makes my throat hurt. You thought it stopped there. No. This disease just goes for the gold on this one. It also will put fatal toxins within your blood. Yeah, because that's totally necessary. These fatal toxins can make their way to your heart or your lungs and cause those very vital organs to just stop working. These toxins can also make their way into your nerves and cause the most searing, unending pain you will ever experience. And I hope you never have to experience this or any of the illnesses that we've talked about before, because
first games you should never play. Part 17. The Devil in the Mirror. Obviously, the purpose of this game is to see the face of the devil. To start, it will need to be December 24th. Block all and any windows and set up a mirror in your room. Get 12 candles and place these candles right in front of the mirror, but also have a match nearby. You will need to start this game at 11:55. Now one by one light all the candles, but you only have a few minutes to work with, so be quick. At 11:59, close your eyes. Set a timer for 1 minute or try to count the seconds accurately. At midnight precisely, open your eyes. Look closely in the mirror, and if you don't see anything, something probably sees you.
Serial killer facts that will haunt your nightmares. Part 3. Serial killer Robert Pickton would grind up the bodies of his victims in the same processor he used for his pigs, meaning that town locals regularly consumed human meat. Ted Bundy, one of the most infamous killers of all time, worked at a suicide hotline. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't kill or eat people with tattoos because, as he says, it gave the flesh a weird taste. When serial killer Ed Gein was arrested, police searched his home to find a bag of wilted vaginas, a lampshade made out of a human face, and a half-finished woman suit, made entirely out of human skin. Serial killer Robert Hansen abducted his victims and flew them to an isolated cabin in the Alaskan mountains. He then released them into the forest and hunted them with a knife and rifle.
After hearing this, you're never gonna want to swim in the lake again. These are the scariest things found at the bottom of the lake. This is a statue of Jesus found at the bottom of Lake Michigan. It's 11 feet and made to be life-sized. It was crafted in the 50s for a family that lost their son in a tragic accident. When the family received the crucifix, they refused to take it, and they requested that divers put it at the bottom of this lake. 2 rusted vintage cars were found at the bottom of Foss Lake in Oklahoma. Inside them were 6 dead bodies. The first car contained teenagers from the 70s, and the second from 1969. Over 200 skeletons were found in this lake in the Himalayan mountains. Some of these skeletons are Japanese soldiers from World War II. Others date back to tribes from 850 AD.
This is the truth behind the Tooth Fairy, Part 2. As her door proceeds to open on its own, she realizes that something is standing in the doorway. She squints her eyes to get a better look. That's when she sees yellow glowing eyes, a distorted jaw on this figure, and black wings. That's when she realizes what she's looking at. the Tooth Fairy. She proceeds to hide under her sheets again and starts sobbing. Once she finally sees that the sun has risen, she decides to uncover her head from the sheets. As she peeks at the doorway, nothing is there anymore. She then proceeds to get out of her bed screaming, crying to her parents. But unfortunately, her parents didn't believe.
Hello?
Oh my god! These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
This is the scariest story about Halloween night. There were 2 friends named Jake and Tyler. It was Halloween night and they couldn't wait to get free candy. When the moon came out, they grabbed their bags and began going from door to door. After going to a couple of houses, they went to this one with no decorations. They then knocked on the door and a man answered. The man then said, "Here, I have some gummy eyeballs for you guys. Please take some," with a creepy smile on his face. Jake and Tyler took a gummy eyeball and ate it. But they weren't gummy eyeballs. They were real human eyes. The man had a whole bowl filled with them. They then ran away and called the police. When the police arrived at the man's house, they got the scare of their life. In the man's basement was a dozen young boys' corpses in costumes, and they all had their eyes taken out.
3 creepiest hidden rooms found in people's homes. Number 1, creepy bedroom peepholes. It all started with 2 people just house hunting until they stumbled across something weird in the basement. They came across peepholes in the basement stairs and noticed that behind the basement stairs had pretty much been used as someone's bedroom. The brick walls were covered in messages like "No watching Isaiah through the hole," "No writing or drawing on the walls," and "Stop watching me." Number 2, room behind bookcase with unwanted guest. Behind a bookcase in the parents' bedroom of a family home was a spiral staircase. The staircase led to a room full of sweet wrappers and items that had been taken from the house, which suggested someone was living there. The owners fled the house and it was boarded up. Number 3, religious hideaway. The Farless family came across a strange metal grid in their house, and after 3 years of wondering what was beneath it, they finally decided to investigate. They found a mysterious brick room there which had a large stone symbol of what appeared to be a religious cross.
The most dangerous kids' toys ever made, part 2. Aquadots. They were little tiny dots that you could form into fun shapes, and then you'd spray them with water so they would stay. They were advertised a lot on TV in the early 2000s and were one of the most popular kids' toys at the time. The only problem is they contained an ingredient called GHB, which is a drug that makes people go unconscious. So kids were swallowing these, passing out, and some of them were even having seizures or going into comas. So they were recalled in 2007. But they were later replaced with a safer version.
This is probably the most terrifying thing you'll ever see in the ocean. That thing is actually a big fin squid and is believed to grow up to 26 feet long. Scientists believe they hunt by dragging those freakish arms across the ocean floor, snatching up anything unlucky enough to accidentally brush up against it. But by far the scariest thing about this hell squid? We know almost nothing about it. We don't know how they mate, how they live. All we know for sure is that you can find them at the very bottom of the ocean at depths of up to 15,000 feet, which is more than half the height of Mount Everest. Here's the part that personally freaks me out. Every big fin ever caught was a juvenile, and since no adults have ever been captured, it's possible they can be even bigger than we thought. This sea slender man's arms are covered in tiny suckers, meaning once it grabs something, there aren't a lot of things strong enough to break free. Those arms can be over 90% of their total body length, and they hold it at a 90-degree angle, which makes this violation against nature look like it's T-posing. As technology improves, we might have a chance to learn more about them, which isn't a good thing. They need to stay in health.